So I've been getting a lot of questions, brackets not that many, about why I quit powerlifting. So let's have a chat about it. A couple years ago, I decided to shift my focus with my training to more bodybuilding and body composition focus. And there's a list of reasons why I did this, and ultimately it was to enhance my ability to become the best powerlifter I can be over the long term. Number one, muscle moves weight. If you look at the top level lifters in any weight class, any federation, doesn't matter. Generally speaking, they're jacked and fairly lean. If you want to become a better powerlifter, putting more muscle on your frame is going to be a part of that process. I identified that for me to continue to get better, it would be useful for me to become more muscular. I think just solely focusing on the big three and getting better technically at those wasn't going to be the thing that was really going to springboard my process. But however, getting more muscle on my frame would be. So I spent a couple of years training more like a bodybuilder, and I'm pretty confident that as I come back into powerlifting now, that is going to help me increase my ceiling of progress. Point number two, when people move away from the big three, I think they often worry, or they don't even do this because they think they're going to forget how to lift. Now, if you're a newer lifter, this might be something you have to be a bit more cognizant of, but if you've been lifting for 1-2 years and you've got pretty consistent technique, it's very unlikely that you're going to forget how to lift. Yeah, there might be a small period where things don't feel as good as they always have, and I'm kind of experiencing that myself right now, but give it a block, give it 2 blocks, and chances are you'll be back to where you are. So don't let that small risk of potentially forgetting how to lift optimally for a short period of time limit you from putting more muscle on your frame by shifting your focus with your training. Point number 3, what else have I learned through this journey? An RPE 7 to 8 is harder than you think. And when I talk about this, I'm more so talking about on the non-powerlifting movements. Us powerlifters, we're notorious for really putting a lot of effort into the SBD movements and then just kind of slacking on our other movements. If we want to become the best lifter that we can over the long term, getting stronger and building muscle on a variety of movements and a variety of muscles is going to be the best move for us. Generally speaking, we all kind of have an understanding that we need to be training to a hard RPE, but just because you've put an RPE 7 or an RPE 8 in your program doesn't actually mean you are working to that. Especially when we're working with higher rep exercises, challenge yourself. Ask yourself, am I actually working to the prescribed RPE? And if you're not sure, definitely worthwhile having some AMREPs in there. Obviously, pick exercises where it's smart to do so. Generally, machines are going to be a safer bet here. But do a couple of sets, a roughly RPE 7 to 8, and then make that third set an AMREP. And that will straight away let you know, have I been training hard enough? And you might actually find that you can get a lot more reps on that AMREP set. So yes, we want to be training hard all the time, but we need to make sure that we actually are. And the easiest way to do this is to have some AMRAPs in there just to kind of check ourselves. The next thing I learned through this journey was you can train hard on low calories. Now, it's definitely not optimal to be making progress when we're in a deficit. If we want to make the best progress, this is probably going to happen either at maintenance or in a little bit of a surplus, but you definitely can make progress on lower calories or while you are losing weight. Plenty of people have done it. Plenty of people will continue to do it. I was able to do some pretty hard training while I was losing weight over the last couple of years. But the reality of it is that it's just hard. It can be done. You can build muscle while you're in a deficit, but it's hard. And a lot of people ask me, do you think you've put muscle on during this process? Do you think you're able to gain muscle in a deficit? As I said before, it's definitely not optimal, but it can be done. Make sure we eat enough protein, make sure we prioritize recovery, but probably most importantly is just make sure we're training hard. If we're just piss farting with our training, just going through the motions, not actually trying to make progress with the weights and reps we're doing, are we giving ourselves a good, chance to maintain or build muscle? Probably not. So that's the key ingredient that's probably missing out. If you want to give yourself the best chance to build muscle or maintain the muscle you have as you're in a deficit, make sure you are training hard. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to want to do it all the time. Sometimes your energy is going to be low, but if you put the effort in, you'll be rewarded. Finally, every lift is a main lift. In the last couple of years, I've put more energy into a variety of exercises than I ever did before. Before, typical powerlifter, put heaps of energy into my SBD movements and then either half-ass or skip some of those lighter exercises. However, if we want to become as strong as possible over time and build as much muscle, we can't just only put effort into 3 movements and then forget about the rest. If you see these guys who are really muscular in all of their body parts, these high-level powerlifters, for an example, who seem to be jacked everywhere, they probably didn't get there solely from doing SBD training. Either in their current training or sometime in the past, they spent some time really putting effort into all the exercises that they do. So I think we need to remove the idea that there are main lifts and accessory lifts. Every lift should be an opportunity to get better. Every lift should be, approached with intensity. And that's how we're going to allow ourselves to make the best progress over time. That probably wraps it up. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for more content. Easy. No cut McGee. I need some water.